Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your everyone, Shorty. Today we're going to look at Dark Regards. Been looking forward to this one, but I have had a little bit of trepidation. I'm not going to lie. I shouldn't have had to worry about it, but it's worth talking about my trepidation leading in because it's why I ended up loving it. It turns out Dave Hill is a huge fan of heavy metal, specifically black metal. That's a good thing because I've read quite a few comic books, also seen movies and TV shows, where heavy metal, when it's put in there, is the butt of a joke, the punchline, as it were. And I'm not saying you can't make jokes about things like that. You can, but I feel like you have to be aware of the thing you're taking the mickey out of a little bit better than most people are. This isn't just heavy metal. I mean, I'm about to go to quite a touchy kind of subject here, but I know from speaking to a few trans people I know that they are absolutely sick to the hind teeth of people doing the same trans jokes over and over again when they are actually really good trans comedians out there. And the reason they are good is because they understand kind of the absurdity of what it is to live that life. Sometimes it can be ridiculous, same as anything can be ridiculous. And you can make jokes about that if you understand what makes it ridiculous. In a particular case, talking about heavy metal, yeah, I've been a fan of metal since I was a teenager. And I am fully aware of how absurd it all is. Even though I'm really into black metal, like extreme black metal, that's my go-to kind of jam. Earlier on today in the shop, I've been listening to Zeal and Ardor, fantastic black metal band. But I don't look like a typical black metal fan. I'm not even wearing like a Behemoth shirt or anything right now. I definitely do not dress like that all the time, although I've got a few band shirts because I like them. But I'm just as likely to be wearing a Huddersfield Giants rugby league top. I'm a massive nerd into science and politics and history and the kind of things which you don't usually associate with somebody who dresses in full black with corpse paint on. And as much as I can look at people who live that life and be like, yeah, cool, I absolutely appreciate that for you. I love the commitment to true cult. But I also kind of get that it is a ludicrous thing to do, and I feel like there are people who can make that joke well. To give you an example of this, one of my favourite documentaries is Metal Headbanger's Journey, which does deal with some absolutely huge things to do with heavy metal, including some black metal stuff, including Garl. And Garl is an absolute legend in the scene. I mean, he literally claimed self-defense when he killed somebody after having them tied up into a chair and torturing them. But the bit most people who are really into black metal will love from that documentary is when Garl gets asked a question, what does black metal mean to him? And if you know it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, go and find it. It is spectacular. But it's the kind of thing that if you don't know about heavy metal and black metal in particular, you might just see it and think, well, that's a ridiculous thing that's just happened. But from the inside, that is somebody so committed to the bit, like not just a bit, to the entire idea of true cult, that you kind of admire them just a little bit, but still understand the absurdity. And I think that's what Dave Hill does really, really effectively. For people who don't know, this is a kind of retelling with a lot of dramatic license taken for something Dave Hill did when he kind of went out and sold himself as the most extreme heavy metal artist of all time, or black metal artist of all time, and the kind of fallout from that. It's brilliantly done. I love the fact that this guy is clearly a comedian as well. I apologise, I didn't know who he was before I read this comic book, so I can't have any experience of his work, but I can absolutely tell from the way he writes stuff down, the way he puts things together, he has like a certain set way he can deliver a joke, and when you see it written down it's one thing, but reading it out loud is another. And he uses this brilliantly when we've got three true cult warriors all arguing over the best way to have a boarding pass for getting on an aeroplane and what is the most extreme heavy metal way of doing it. It's fantastically well executed and well written, and it's funny as all heck. Not just that though, it also does some good beats just for people who like heavy metal in general, music in general. There's an oft-used trope of femme people in heavy metal band shirts getting asked by guys to prove that they're real fans. In this comic book, we have schlubby white guy trying to get into black metal asked about his Iron Maiden shirt, and the woman working behind the counter at the record shop asked him to name the original starting band, and I'm like, oh, this is the original starting line of the band. Oh, this is going to be good, because I actually know this. And he gave the exact answer I would give, including Stratton and Burr, because they're no longer members of the band. But then she corrects it. It's like, no, that's the lineup for the first album. And I was like, oh, damn, she's right, because the only member of the original lineup that's still in the band is Steve Harris. It was originally like a pub band that would do working men's clubs and the like, and I should have remembered that. But it's such a great way to invert that stereotype and also be funny when you do it. It's a really good comic book. I do think if you're not into heavy metal, black metal, you might just see it as ludicrous as opposed to just enjoying how they are using this silliness of blackmail sometimes. It also looks fantastic. RTM, I've forgotten his surname. Good artist. He gives off a lot of vibes of Daniel Warren Johnson, who I'm a huge fan of, and really, really can't wait to see how this plays out. I could technically just go and find out this story as it's already been told before by Mr. Hill, but I want to experience it as a comic book. I think they put such a great story together and such a great way of telling the story that I can't wait to see how it plays out. That's it for me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after yourself, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.